You know his name. Thomas Edison, America's greatest inventor. The light bulb, the phonograph, the motion picture camera. Over 1,000 patents. The Wizard of Menlo Park. A genius, a hero, a symbol of American innovation. This is what you were taught. This is the sanitized version. This is not the complete truth. Because Edison electrocuted animals, publicly, to destroy his competitors. He electrocuted dogs, cats, horses, a circus elephant, all to prove alternating current was dangerous, all to protect his inferior technology, all to win the war of currents. Are you ready to know what Edison really did? The propaganda he spread, the lies he told, the lives he destroyed, both animal and human? Because once you understand the war of currents, you will never see Edison the same way. In the 1880s, electricity was new, exciting, dangerous, profitable. Edison had invented a system, direct current, DC power. It worked, but had limitations, could only travel short distances, required power stations every mile, was expensive to implement citywide. But Edison had patents, had investors, had infrastructure, had everything to lose. Then came alternating current, AC power, developed by Nikola Tesla, improved by George Westinghouse. AC could travel hundreds of miles, needed fewer power stations, was cheaper to implement, was clearly superior technology. Edison faced obsolescence. His DC system would become worthless, his patents useless. His empire collapsed. Unless he could stop AC, could convince the public, could destroy his competitors. So he launched a campaign, a propaganda war, a campaign of fear. He called AC the executioner's current, called it deadly, called it dangerous, said it would kill people in their homes, kill children, kill everyone. This was exaggeration, distortion, deliberate fear-mongering. But Edison needed the public scared, needed them to reject AC, needed them to choose his DC. Even though DC was inferior, even though DC was more expensive, even though DC made no technical sense. So Edison staged demonstrations, public demonstrations, of AC's dangers. He hired electrical engineers, built AC generators, captured stray animals, dogs, cats, calves, horses, and electrocuted them in front of audiences, in front of journalists, in front of anyone who would watch. He called these demonstrations scientific experiments, public safety warnings, educational displays. They were propaganda. They were cruelty. They were business strategy, disguised as science. The demonstrations followed a pattern. Edison's assistant, Harold Brown, would give a speech about AC dangers, about DC safety, about public welfare. Then bring out an animal, connect it to AC current, flip the switch. The animal would convulse, scream, burn, die, often slowly, often painfully, often multiple shocks, until death. The audience would watch, horrified, convinced, afraid, exactly as Edison planned. Newspapers reported the demonstrations with gruesome details, with fear-inducing headlines, with Edison's talking points about AC danger, about choosing DC, about protecting families. The propaganda worked. People were scared. Cities hesitated. Edison's DC seemed safer, even though it was not. Even though the demonstrations were staged. were manipulated, were deliberately cruel to make AC look worse. Then Edison went further. He lobbied New York State to adopt electrocution as execution method for death penalty, using AC current. This was brilliant strategy. If the state used AC to execute criminals, the public would associate AC with death, with punishment, with danger, would never accept AC in their homes. Edison worked with Harold Brown to develop the electric chair, to make it work with AC, to make it official. In 1890, William Kemmler became the first person executed by electric chair by alternating current. The execution was botched, horrifying. Kemmler burned, smoked, took 8 minutes to die. Witnesses vomited, fainted, called it barbaric. But Edison claimed success, called it proof. AC was the executioner's current, just as he warned, just as he predicted. The newspapers reported. The public believed. The propaganda succeeded. Except Westinghouse fought back, called Edison's campaign unethical, unscientific, commercially motivated. Pointed out, Edison used AC incorrectly. In his demonstrations, used excessive voltage, used poor connections, made AC deliberately dangerous to prove his point. Tesla remained mostly silent, focused on his work, on improving AC, on proving its worth, through superior technology, not propaganda. The war continued for years. Edison losing ground, AC spreading despite his efforts, cities choosing Westinghouse, choosing Tesla's technology, choosing the better system. Edison grew desperate. In 1903, a circus elephant named Topsy was scheduled for execution. She had killed 3 men over several years. One had fed her a lit cigarette. One had abused her. One had been drunk. The circus wanted her dead, considered hanging. But Edison's company intervened, offered to electrocute her, using AC current, free of charge, as a demonstration, as propaganda, as one last attempt to prove AC was deadly. The execution was scheduled, January 4th, 1903, at Coney Island. Public attendance, press invited. Edison's cameramen ready to film everything. Topsy was brought out, copper electrodes attached to her feet, fed carrots laced with cyanide as backup poison in case electrocution failed. Then the switch. 6,600 volts of alternating current. Topsy stiffened. Smoke rose from her feet. She fell. Died in seconds. Quicker than expected. More humane than Edison wanted. He had hoped for spectacle, for drama, for proof of danger. Instead, got quick death. But he had the footage, had the newspapers, had one more propaganda tool. The execution was filmed by Edison's movie company, distributed as entertainment. Called Electrocuting an Elephant, shown in Nickelodeons, as curiosity, as spectacle, as Edison's final argument against AC power. But it was too late. The war of currents was over. AC had won. Westinghouse had won. Tesla had won. Edison's DC system was obsolete, was abandoned, was history. By 1907, Edison himself converted to AC, admitted defeat, adopted the superior technology. Everything he fought against, everything he demonized, everything he killed animals to prevent, he now used, now sold, now profited from. The hypocrisy was complete, the propaganda revealed. The war was lost. But Edison's reputation survived, remained intact, remained heroic, remained sanitized. Because history remembered the inventor, the innovator, the genius, not the propagandist, not the animal killer, not the ruthless businessman willing to do anything to destroy competitors, to protect profits, to win at any cost. The electric chair remains, still uses AC current, still executes people, still carries Edison's legacy. Of cruelty disguised as progress, of technology weaponized, of science perverted for business advantage. Topsy's execution film remains available online, disturbing, historical. Evidence of Edison's methods, evidence of his desperation, evidence of how far he would go to win. The animals he killed, the lies he spread, the fear he manufactured, all for business, all for profit, all for ego. Not for safety, not for science, not for truth. Tesla never stooped to Edison's tactics, never killed animals, never spread propaganda, never weaponized technology. He let his work speak, let AC prove itself, let quality win, eventually. Despite Edison's interference, despite the propaganda campaign, despite the animal deaths, AC won on merit, on technical superiority, on economic sense. But the cost was high. Years of delay, animals tortured, public deceived, progress slowed by one man's refusal to accept obsolescence. We remember Edison fondly. Teach him in schools, celebrate his inventions, honor his legacy. This is not wrong. He did invent, did innovate, did contribute. But we must also remember the war of currents, the animal electrocutions, the propaganda campaign, the electric chair, the elephant Topsy. This is also Edison, also history, also truth. Modern technology often involves such battles. Corporate warfare, propaganda campaigns, unethical tactics. VHS versus Betamax, Blu-ray versus HD DVD, Apple versus Microsoft. The methods change, the tactics remain. One company trying to destroy another, not through better products, but through manipulation, through fear, through propaganda. Edison pioneered this in the electrical age, set the template for corporate battles, for technological warfare, for innovation wars. We should acknowledge the full history, the complete Edison, the brilliant inventor, the ruthless businessman, the animal killer, the propagandist, the genius, the villain. All existed in one person, in one life, in one legacy. The next time you see Edison's name, his inventions, his laboratories, remember. Remember the dogs electrocuted. Remember the cats killed. Remember the horses tortured. Remember Topsy dying. Remember the propaganda. Remember the lies. Remember the war of currents. Remember the cost of innovation, of progress, of business. When ethics are abandoned, when truth is weaponized, when animals are props in corporate warfare. Edison won many battles, created many inventions, changed the world. But he also killed for profit, lied for advantage, manipulated for gain. Both are true. Both are Edison. Both are history. The light bulb and the electric chair, the phonograph and the dead elephant, the motion pictures and the propaganda films, all connected, all Edison, all American innovation at its best and its worst. Truth requires acknowledging both, teaching both, remembering both. Not to destroy Edison, but to understand him. Not to erase his contributions, but to contextualize them. Not to tear down the hero, but to see the human. This is what history demands, what truth requires, what Edison deserves. The full story, the complicated story, the real story of the Wizard of Menlo Park, who was both brilliant inventor and ruthless propagandist, both genius and killer, both hero and villain. This is Edison, complete, complicated, true.